Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Wednesday, December 15th at 11:36 a.m. Trying to figure out these crazy markets, these markets that are relentless, these markets are ferocious. We think they're going down, they do a bounce, we think they're going back up, they're not going back up. Are they going to print a higher low? Are they going to find a bottom? Is it going to be a double bottom? We need some fresh higher highs, but we're not living on hopium, are we, boys and girls? We know the markets are completely unpredictable. These are completely irrational markets. The vast majority of participants in these markets are absolutely scared shitless. They think they think they understand. They don't understand. They're buying things that they don't understand. Even the people that understand are buying things they don't fully understand. What does that mean? All right, let me try and attack that comment again. Um, Folks like us, folks that have digested these markets, have been in these markets, have a feel for these markets, we still don't understand shit. I don't understand shit. I expect these markets to do nothing predictable. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave us with regard to like solid ground such that we can assess where we are? We're not going to necessarily be able to assess market directionality. We could have hopes, and that has no business in these markets. We could have instinct, which is meaningful, but there's no certainty in our instincts. What we can have fear, and fear has its place. That doesn't mean it's necessarily right nor wrong. Fear is certainly protective. Fear could cause the missing out of gains. Is good in that it may protect from experiencing losses. So all this stuff is basically information, data points. Be nice if we were machines and we'd be able to just quantify and crunch these data points and make completely rational decisions devoid of emotion. But we're not. We're human, so we're stuck having these crazy ass conversations a couple of times a week, trying to figure out what the hell we're thinking, why we're thinking it, and what could we do based on what we're thinking. Isn't that all it reduces to? Is do we take an action or do we not? Do we buy or do we sell? Is this not a binary choice of existential proportions? Is it a bottom? I'm looking at the time chart and I'm distracted a little bit. I hope this thing finds a bottom. And that's exactly the sentiment I guess I just expressed. Is it a double bottom? Is it going to go lower and print the new lower low? And then you're like, oh, that's disappointing. Or is it going to print a fresh higher high and lock in the double bottom? And that'll be nice. So we're going to look over some charts. We're going to maybe have some hopium. We're going to sit together today and hold hands with some kumbaya and then say, please, markets, drop the irrationality, find some conviction, grow a set, and maybe these markets to do what's in their best interest. It's clearly not in the best interest of the markets to see depreciation. I don't think the selling is necessarily shorts that are capitalizing on the way down. All the selling is fear. They're fearing it will not go up. And they're engaging with assets that literally have no necessity to be sold. They're literally doing traditional capital gains methodology with assets that don't even need to be sold. Like if these assets weren't sold, they would just print cash for everybody in perpetuity for the next years. So that in itself is assertive that these are irrational market actors. I mean, seriously, let's look at this time chart and Olympus style for that matter. Um, if nobody sold time ever, it just goes up in value and people will buy in because they see that it goes up in value. So the price goes up. And even if the price doesn't go up, you have more and more of it. And because of the MIM and abracadabra implementation, you could just borrow more and more MIM because MIM isn't from a source. It's created, it's manifested, it's printed. So in theory, if no one sold time, or you could just borrow more and more cash. It prints cash. But clearly the people in aggregate, as a whole, don't understand. And that's the type of market we have to know we're engaging with. We're dealing with mental mush, people. We're dealing with people. I'm going to buy doggy coin and I want it to go to $10 million and I'm not going to know what the fuck to do with the money because I'm going to spend it. I'm never going to have it. I'm going to buy something. I'm going to love it. And then it's going to go really high and then I'm going to sell it. I'm not going to have it. We're dealing with people that just don't get it, don't get the big picture. And that just, substantiates or solidifies or reaffirms the irrational nature of the markets. They're still living in a buy low, sell high mentality. It is what it is. We can't change the population. We can't fix stupid. And all we can do is attempt to navigate these completely irrational markets the best we can. So look at this damn thing. 27% bounce off the bottom yesterday. It's nice that it's finding support here. I hope it's not transitory. Look, I just said the word hope. I got some hopium going on. I hope it doesn't print lower lows. Danny had a nice AMA yesterday, and I have positive sentiment. Not only I have positive sentiment about couple of things. Danny, the team, Sifu, I think they're rational. And I like the way they talk. I hear them speak outside of just AMAs. I see them in some private discourse channels, private Telegram channels. And I like the actors that helped facilitate getting Wonderland off the ground. I think all of them have shown their nature, have shown their cards, have shown their vulnerabilities in many regards. And I like them. I think they all, from what I could tell thus far, have an interesting story of how they got to where they are. So that's meaningful because they control the vast majority of the liquidity for the asset. Just countless millions and millions and millions of dollars. And there's literally no reason to frickin' sell the thing. And if anyone understands that, those were the providers of initial liquidity. That's why there's collateralizability on Abracadabra. So you never have to sell it. The general public doesn't even know it's in their best interest. And this is unfortunately where government steps in and tries to facilitate. The facilitator of what's in best interest. The protectors, um, what's her name? Elizabeth Warren. The protectors. They need to protect the general public from themselves, from making irrational decisions. Because we know that's what they do. But I don't think one, I don't like the protectors, but I don't want to digress too much. But clearly, folks in these types of assets don't really understand what's in their best interest, and that is what it is. So we do the best we can. Let's go over some comments. I want to look at the spell curve, convex charts. Obviously, we'll take a look at S&P futures. ICE got completely obliterated. I'll look at all my charts. And we'll tell the story and we'll see what I see. Earens in the house. Modify. What's up, Noah? Everyone's in the chat. Can Super Poddle turn things around? I don't think so. I don't know what they're working on, but it's just getting farmed to oblivion. And it wasn't totally unexpected. We talked about it. Some of the initial statements I ever made was that it's just hyperinflationary. Was it 1% inflating supply on a daily basis? It's fucking ridiculous. So the only way you could accommodate that is with like a curve dynamics, a curve monetary policy dynamics, but that took a long time to find stability. If you look at the curve chart, this took almost a year to find stabilization, and this never had like a blow off top. There's a rationality in these markets, or maybe it isn't a rationality. There's no irrational purchasing. There's no exuberant purchasing. I guess you could say maybe the 650 was exuberant purchasing, considering the size, the sheer magnitude of the wick. But it's not like it went to $30 and it's back down to 3 and it was a 90% collapse. So I don't know, Aaron. I don't have much hope or faith in the price point of Geist and Blizz going upward anytime soon. They need a significant catalyst to change the general tendency of market actors dealing with those assets. Dan's in the house, a pleasure. Victor, good morning. Kronos, the man returns. I'm around. It's 3 days a week. I know I used to do 5 days a week. I was full steam ahead. And we got to where we are because of 5 days a week, digesting the markets day in, day out. But one can only handle that kind uh, of consistent content creation to a limit. And look at Chico. Chico's pulling the plug. He's stressed the frick out. And shit, do you think I'm not stressed out? It's my daughter's birthday today, and they're at the beach. And I'm sitting here and I'm working. I love what I do, but I'm stressed. But that's why I pulled it back to 3 days a week, and I think I'll be able to sustain this. And if I'm not, I'll pull back. I have that capacity. I can pull myself back, find my stability, and that will ensure that I have a capacity to keep providing content consistently. That's what I'm going to do because this is some serious market activity, and you guys need consistent rationality. Now I get vocal, I get loud, but at all times I remain rational. And that's what's needed to attack these markets. A level head. I'd like to see it stay above this green line, bottom of green line, 289, 289.4. I would love this weekly close to be above 3446. That would be an incredible weekly close. But it is what it is. Remember where we were in March of 2020 when these assets were just being created. It's the birth of something new. And the fact that it's not down here at 2 cents, at 20 cents, the fresh lower low means something. Doesn't necessarily mean it won't go there. Doesn't necessarily mean our hopes and dreams are completely destroyed and we'll have to rely on socialist giveaways for the rest of our lives, unemployment benefits. Doesn't mean we're not going to end up in that shit situation. But I sure as hell am going to try my hardest to understand these irrational markets, put them in a chokehold, and do whatever I possibly can to be in control of my financial destiny and financial well-being. And you're not going to do it with the S&P 500. You're not going to do it with the NASDAQ. You ain't going to do shit buying Tesla and Apple stock. You're not going anywhere. There's no future buying $50, $100 worth of Apple stock a month. You're screwed. 0.5% interest. Not going to get anywhere. That's just a rational statement. I don't think a broker would tell that to anyone because then they won't make a frickin' sale. Just tell me that's not a rational statement. So these markets present enormous opportunity, and we've honed in on some of the key themes, particularly disintermediation of financial services. We want to be the bank. We're sick and tired of putting our capital in a bank and having the bank make all the money and having them screw us. We need to unfuck ourselves from legacy financials. And for the first time that I've ever seen in my entire life, these are markets that present that opportunity. And that's a rational statement. So clearly, it's rational also to say, as many deflationists would say, we could see some significant depreciation, but clearly there's market actors that want to engage in these markets. So they do go up and down with volatility and violence. But I personally think it is also rational to say these markets aren't going to evaporate. So this is where my capital belongs. And these are the thoughts that I have to digest and deal with on a daily basis to try and do the best I can. Shit, you guys can tell by now there's a lot going on in this head. Oh, Barry's in the house. Hilda, Tyler, Noah, my dude, do you claim EPS airdrops? I would like to say that I have avoided claiming anything for reasons of optimal tax treatment. You need to get BNB, which is probably going to be someone sending a little bit to you. So ask around, ask some friends. Maybe there's a BNB faucet you'll be able to get access to, and then you'll have a little bit of BNB. With a little bit of BNB, you'll be able to claim your EPS drops. Live W's in the house, a pleasure. Modify. I hate Tuesdays, Thursdays, and weekends. Well, weekends, yeah, but brutal from a market standpoint. But you got to love weekends. That's the saving grace of whatever the heck has been done politically in the last however many decades. At least we have our weekends. Well, what am I saying? So many people work on the weekends, so what the fuck? Need time off. You guys need to decompress and keep mental sanity. Decompress, pull yourself away. Shouldn't be staring at these charts all day long. Diesel Hound, my pizza shop running well. So what if the building value dropped? My man, I think that is a rational statement. I don't know who said that. Who said that? I like that. I think it makes sense. I think it's reasonable. I mean, seriously, listen, the peak of the bull market, if you're making, let's say, not my portfolio, let's say you're making $1,000 a day, which is probably a lot. And let's just hypothetical, the horror in the bear market, the deepest of the bear market, you're making $500 a day, $400 a day. Oh, the horror of $400 a day, even $300 a day. The market gets hammered and pulverized, 70% down. You're making $300 a day. So these are obviously goals for many. Many have surpassed that particular rate of income. I mean, shit, if you're making $100 a day, that's more of a salary than most people make. That's meaningful. Maybe $100 a day is a goal. So everyone's portfolio is their own. Own your portfolio. Don't be jealous. Don't covet thy neighbor's goods. And don't covet thy neighbor's wife, but that's another story. But you got to play your hand. You got to play your portfolio. So that's the game. Inject the hopium, sir. My man Slim. I don't. I don't. I want to remain upbeat. I don't want hopium. I mean, look, the spell chart. Well, I would love to see it hold 1 penny, 1.02. And this will put in an inverse head and shoulders. So thus far, it's a bullish trend formation. This is an extremely bullish trend formation indicative of trend reversal after a monumental depreciative cascade. Price range, price check, aisle 3. This thing collapsed 84%. And it puts in an inverse head and shoulders at this price point? Fucking A. Even from a technical standpoint, this chart is ridiculously bullish. Albeit, it is above the 0.786, significantly above the 0.786 from a total historical fib retrace standpoint. It'd be nice to see it get above the 0.618, which is the golden. So check it out. What do we do? What do we do? So if we break above the 100 SMA, that's also the golden. So let's say maybe hypothetically, speculatively, with a little bit of hopium, the bottom is in. We got an inverse head and shoulders. It never closed below the 0.786. It's stuck below the 100 SMA in the daily. It breaks above the 100 SMA in the daily. It's back above the 0.618. And yes, it gets slammed down by the 50 SMA. And then it bounces around the 50 SMA, putting in a resistance flip support on the 100 SMA, and boom, goes back up. Oh, fine. I could throw in a little bit of hopium, a little bit of good vibes. Adrian, good evening. A pleasure. Dan, do you have any idea on revised sushi tokenomics? I do not, but I'm sure Danny does. And that's the type of person I want involved in that. Greg, their trading moves have been fantastic. Lots of flame about it not being voted on by invested in the Wonderland team, not the other random investors. Yeah, isn't that a true statement? I would like to see it hold and not print a fresh lower low. But that is a true statement. And I believe my opinion thus far is rational that by what I've observed in the conversation, the rhetoric, the tone of the core participants or the large, the initial liquidity providers to the protocol. I like them, meaning I'm a family man, so it's hard for me to get out of the house. But the second I get a chance, I wouldn't mind drinks with the boys. You know, it's a type of tone and conversation I think I'd get along with everyone. Not that I've seen, everyone in virtual land um, hasn't met face to face, but they seem like a good group. NYSH82. Hi, Noah. Love your thoughts on creating passive income revenue streams. I'm 100% sold. My question is, do I DCA into curve now or wait till the market peaks, then take profit to buy curve? Entries are the hardest thing you'll ever do. It's much easier to watch a market be irrational if you bought at 40 cents. Now you're up at $3.26. There's no optimal way to take an entry. There's various considerations like time horizon and position size. You mentioned DCA. DCA means you're buying on the way down. And traditionally, we would sell on the way up. So this is an asset that pays you. So it has a strong dividend running around at 65%. So what the heck is the point on selling on the way up? So this presents new consideration compared to historically how people look at assets, especially assets in the crypto space. So only you, only you could tell yourself what you want to do, your risk profile, how much risk you want to take. If you take 10% of your cash and you buy it now, how is it going to feel? If it goes down to the 50 SMA, how is it going to feel? It's probably going to be upsetting. Shit, I wouldn't put it in if you need the cash to pay money. But listen, if the money's like a savings account or a retirement account, where do you see the market in 5 years? Now we had that girl on testifying to the Senate the other day, and she was like, I don't know who would want to put this in a retirement account. This is the shit that I want to put in a retirement account. Holy fuck, when I heard that, I was just like, my stomach was like, whoa. That was crazy. And she was young too. What's the matter with people? This is exactly the stuff I want in a retirement account. Not because of the volatility, but because I understand the volatility. I've accepted the extraordinary volatility. Because of the story. The story of the three sections of this chart. This is exactly what I want in my retirement account. I don't need someone testifying to Congress telling me what I want or don't want in my retirement account. This is exactly the asset I want. Is that the right decision for everyone? Absolutely not. Is it the right decision for someone 80 years old? Almost assuredly not. The right decision for someone 80 years old is to be hoping and praying the Federal Reserve saves their stock market investments. So, as I always say, what I do isn't right for everyone. What I do is right for me and my age. Age is a critical um, consideration. It's right for my degree of technical competence. I'm able to digest, compartmentalize, qualify, quantify the data of these assets and to some degree the markets or how these assets fit into the markets. I'm able to tell these stories. Believe me, I tell these stories to myself before I tell them to you. I don't think anyone should deploy capital if they don't fully understand the asset which they're wanting to participate. Meaning, sure, maybe you just want to listen to my stories, but you should probably get other people's opinions. And I hope, I don't know. I don't know what's out there in YouTube land, boys. Is there any other moderately well versed, astute YouTube personalities that talk with clarity and depth? There's no one. I hope there's some. Hey, listen, ping me on Twitter. Let me know if there's any moderately intelligent YouTube persons that tell a decent story. because these assets are not just technicals. In fact, I would argue the vast majority of how we know where to deploy capital in the crypto space is about the story that we could tell of the asset. If there's any good storytellers out there, share them. Let other people know of them, not just me, the community. Throw it up in the Discord. People need stories. I mean, isn't that what tells this? That's history. Like history is all a bunch of stories just told over the hundreds and thousands of years, and stories are everything. Anyway, Larry in the house, also Larry's mom in the house. It's a pleasure. Play your streams on my speakerphone, and my mom hears that and recognizes your voice now. She says, "Let Noah know I'm in the house." Larry's mom. It's a pleasure. Most certainly. Tapsy, the facilitator, the protector. Elizabeth Warren is the protector. She wants to protect people from potentially outperforming. She wants to protect people from incoming or being the bank. She thinks she knows better. And that is a disappointment because there's a lot of other politicians that spoke during yesterday's Senate hearing that had a much greater appreciation and depth of understanding of the subject matter. She seemed afraid. And fear is not the way you want to govern. You want to govern with positive sentiment and hopes and dreams and motivation and excitement, not out of fear. Oh, the new technology. Oh, people aren't going to understand it. People are going to get taken advantage of. Oh, it's so scary out there. No, people, step it up. Pull up your bootstraps. Put on those big boy pants. Get rid of the Depends diaper for once. Listen to smart people. Educate the shit out of yourself. And put your financial well being in a freaking chokehold and do something about it. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for what you want to achieve with your life. You guys should be telling your own stories. You might hear my stories on the stream. You might hear other people's stories and social media commentary, but you should be talking to yourselves. You should be telling yourselves these stories so you could better understand them. Not just listening, but speaking. Define your own story. I told you guys on a post, this is a good one. How do you invest in the crypto space? Dinner table investing. If you can't tell a freaking good story about an asset that you've added to your balance sheet, that's not a good investment. You must be able to sit down at the dinner table and tell a ridiculously awesome story with passion and verve, like, oh my God, this is the most ridiculous asset because of A, B, C, and D. Look at this chart. Look at this section. This is the hyperinflationary decay. This was DeFi summer where folks ran around with like chickens without heads trying to figure all this stuff out, and then in came BTC with a deflationary cascade of liquidations, crushed the markets. Curve found trend support. A retest, a failed breakout of the TWAP. Trend support held. Oh, all rejoice. The trend has been saved. We are saved. And then the market stabilized for the rest of 2021, broke out to ridiculous all-time highs, and now we have a retest of historic trend resistance. We have to be able to tell stories, boys and girls. That makes all the difference. Dinner table investing. Ivan's in the house. It's a pleasure. Finally made a live stream. Shisha's in the house. Thoughts on building a position on Geist at these prices? In these types of market, in this market, in the climate of this market, Geist and Blizz are the last things I have any interest in. The climate the current market is in, you need assets that are the strongest of the strongest, that have history, that have a story, that have been through the last 2 years. You need assets in your portfolio that you have the highest conviction in, that you have the highest and most, you have the clearest vision with a rational time horizon. Like you really see that certain assets are likely to be around in 3, 4, 5 years. This is not a market for testing. This is not a market for degeneracy. This is not a market for new assets and experimentation. Heading down that road almost assuredly will be destructive of capital, because if you could barely, if an asset is new, just think of how the vast majority of the irrational actors in the space are going to treat it. They're going to be scared shitless. It's going to go vertical. They're going to buy it. It's going to crash down 80%. They're going to sell it the whole way down. The vast majority are not rational. The vast majority are gamblers and degenerate at that. So, this is not a market for experimentation. This is a market for maximum conviction and history and precedence. Okay? Do yourself right. Don't spread too thin. Don't go all in. Allocate with prudence, extreme prudence. Crypto bets the senator, the protector. That's right. Jake, I have a hard time seeing the Fed willfully forcing us into depression. No one has the balls to pull that trigger and take the blame. The bubble pops organically. Yeah. So, with regard to trying to understand macroeconomics, no Fed chair in history, I mean, Volcker, put the brakes and rose rates and crashed an economy. So, we'll see. Because someone's going to take a lot of heat and politicians won't be getting reelected. So, we'll see. 2 o'clock today. Less than 2 hours, boys and girls. We'll see what Jerome Powell does to the economy. Does he collapse the economy with hawkish tapering and hawkish raising of rates talk? We're going to raise rates to 2% over 6 months, and we're going to cut off all asset purchases. The economy is going to crush, and inflation is going to be fixed. Are they going to do that? I got no goddamn idea. That's why, they injected themselves in the markets, and they can't take themselves out. What a ridiculously pathetic situation. Crypto bets, I feel very safe after yesterday. Yeah, yesterday was a heck of a depreciative cascade. These markets will literally take your stomach, twist them around. Let's go back to time. Converted my own position in time. I hope this pops a double bottom. That's a nice green volume candle right there on the 1 hour. Um, you know, small bets, 1%. We're going to take even a position in a high conviction play, 1%. You don't need to deploy excess capital. Ends up achieving contrarian results. You end up hurting yourself deploying excess capital. Never deploy capital you need. Anyway. Liv W, do you have any thoughts on Dopex? It's kind of off the radar. I hear folks chiming in about it, but I'm in no position to take on a new position. I would be too spread thin. And I was tempted, like yesterday and the day before, to consolidate the portfolio, increase concentration. So it's just not something I want to entertain at the moment. Legacy risk off for year end and risk back on in January. Well, 15 days. We'll know soon. Guys, it's simple. Don't buy what you can earn. Noah gets this deep in your head. I hope people can understand that because the crypto space are productive assets. This is old school dividend investing, reimagined. Back in the day, used to have actual real positive interest rates. The nominal rates might be like 4, 5, 6% on some REITs, but they're negative real rates because of the crushing inflation numbers, and that's just the bottom line. Um, you know, uh, Whatever. It's hard to digest the inflationist and the deflationist, and That's the historic argument. Is it inflationary? Is it deflationary? Clearly, we see consumer price inflation, but there's so many macroeconomists that talk about how the system is net deflationary and it's ready to come crashing down. And whether the central banks are fearful more of inflation or deflation. It sure as hell seems like they're fearful more of deflation than inflation. And many folks will say that no system has ever collapsed from deflation. You just had austerity and the system had to rebuild, which is probably true. But there's no political class, no election year where a deflationary event and a depression and the politicians survive re-election. So it's very complicated to try and wrap your head around macroeconomics and the politics of the situation. So I often choose to focus on what I could really digest and understand. See, Slim, you asked the question, and that's what happens. I pop back in with some deep thought. Meridius, guys, it's well, I hit you, Meridius too. Shisha, have you seen the new dashboard on Geist Lockers? I'll take a look. Adam, good morning, good afternoon, a pleasure. Quantified, subscribe to AskVids today. Need more Noah in my life. I'm going to get to questions as soon as I can. It's been very quiet on AskVids. I wouldn't mind if people ask more questions. The whole point of starting this was to help people. So if you guys ask questions, I'm going to answer them, and they're in video format. Woo! Suitcase Murphy, new to the channel. Best place to stay curved? Convex Finance. Lighthouse, thank you, Noah, for all your hard work here. I need to get you a whiskey to say thanks. I'd sure as hell like a single malt. It'd be a pleasure. Adam, when Rational Doubt? That'd be interesting, right? That would be interesting. Pepsi, the rationality or. Very nice. Joe, been dollar cost averaging hard earned income into the dip this week. Yeah. DCA. Small amounts because this might not be the dip. You never know when bottom is. Anyone who thinks they know where bottom is or top is guessing at best and is full of shit at worst. Alpha, love hearing you talk some sense into me. I hope it helps, guys. You know the deal. You know the deal. Tyler, appreciate the info as always. A pleasure. Creative. There's no other like Noah. Always makes you smile. Hopefully a little bit of a laugh now and then with my rants, my ranting and raving. Woo! Jordan Belfort. Yeah, maybe Joe. Maybe. No on the weekends. I guess I have you on Twitter though. Yeah, it's hard to get away from Twitter. I mean, I got an idea in my head. I got to get it out, so I'm going to put it on paper and Twitter paper. You know what I mean? Shit. Alpha, I don't need a therapist when I'm 40% down. I need a therapist. I'm about 50% drawn down on the portfolio. Um, Man, I wish it was less. But it's hovering around 50%. It dipped down a little bit higher, but that's where I'm at. Um, Data Dash. Yeah, he's good. I like Nicholas Merton. Um, Taiki's cool. I like Taiki. Uh, I like his prudence. I think he's rational as well. That's right, Vince. Siam Kid is interesting from a trading background. Thank you, and everyone else here thanks you for sharing what you think is someone to take a peek at. Um, Baraki. I know everything can change, but I feel like crypto is reaching the too big to fail network effect regulators will have to accept. I hope so. They could be a bunch of dicks and just try and crush everything, and that's what everyone fears. Fear. Baraki, that girl insisted crypto is as expensive, ignoring completely the existence of other L1s. She sounded very smart, but it's hard to believe there's not an agenda behind their opinions. Yeah, right? Daniel, how is the AVAX MIM JLP position? I don't have one. I don't have any LP positions. I don't have any stable coins at the moment. I have some debt on Abracadabra, and that's where I'm at. My conviction is where it is. My positions are what they are, and these markets will do to me their very best and the very worst. Um, Mikule, hey Noah, any thoughts? Have you invested in Liquid Driver? I have not. I'm not in a position to take on new positions, as I mentioned. Um, story, network effect, community, success. My man. Sonos, I see you're charting ohm on price the other day. You need to chart ohm forks on market cap. Yeah, yeah, but price is also meaningful too. So, I want to see a double bottom here. I don't want to see it get below 20, whatever the heck this is, 27.30. I prefer that. Just-in-time liquidity is where it's an exploit of it's not an exploit, but it's a manipulation of Uniswap v3, where mempool analysis, they're able to see a large transaction and inject liquidity into the particular LP position uh, to facilitate the transaction, um, and basically capture all the profit of the transaction and then remove the liquidity immediately. So they're literally just providing liquidity to capture the transaction fee. Um, that'd be nice when Popsicle is able to literally just be on the offensive and extract value and use the capital in its LP positions to extract value. So there's something to be bullish about with regard to Popsicle. The same thing that everyone's always been bullish about with regard to Popsicle. It just takes time. And they had their security incident, so it takes time. I still hold my Popsicle position. I bought Popsicle Ice at $3, so I rode it to 60. I rode it back down to 10, and it's sitting at $10, I think. Let's take a look. Popsicle sitting at $10.40, so I'm up about 300 and change percent. I was up 20x. I was up 20x. Bought 100 grand worth, and I watched it go to almost $2 million, and now it's back down. So it is what it is. I missed that big number. But whatever, it is what it is. I still have the position. Last question. What tool do you use to find exact percentages on your portfolio? I can't find it on Zapper. Yeah, I use an old school tool from back in 2017, which is Delta. It's a Delta crypto app, and it's just a manual entry crypto portfolio manager. It's old school. I'm old school, boys and girls. Been around the block. Wednesday, December 15th at 12:18 p.m. As always, thank you all for joining me. Tell everybody to subscribe. After party on Discord. Discord's hotter than ever, boys and girls. It's the most rational community in the crypto space. Check out the link in Twitter profile. Also at the bottom on the comments on the info for this stream. And ask Vid if anyone has any questions. I'm happy to help to the best of my abilities. Thank you all for joining me today. I'll see you again Friday. I wish you all a good one. I'll see you then. Stay rational. Peace.